Today we're going to take shapes and add value to them by making the lightest and the darkest of the same color. The first thing we're going to do is make a value scale. And that is by just taking a rectangle and making little lines in it. You should have about 7 boxes. Let's see if I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next, I'm going to try and use a very light amount of pressure. Just put a light amount of pencil in all the boxes except the first. So number 1 box is the lightest. The darkest would be a 7 here. So to make another shade, I'm going to go to the second box and just kind of wave my pencil lightly over all of them. So now I have a shade number 2 and a shade number 3. And I'm going to do that again. And so all of the colors past 3 all the way to 7, they're kind of the same shade. So that's my 4. This is how I do it. I kind of use the side of my pencil and press a little bit harder as I go along. You want more pressure to make it a darker color. This is just a normal number 2 pencil. You can get it to have lots of darkness. So 6. And then for 7, I just go kind of press, to make it as dark as I can. And there, I've made a value scale right there on the page. And that will kind of keep me remembering, oh, did I add only 1 shade of a color? Or 1, 2, 3, 4 of the same kind of color? We'll see how much I can get on the next shape. So I like to pretend that there's the sunshine in the sky coming down, and my arrows are reminding me, you don't have to draw this. I like to do it so I remember for you guys too. And then I'm going to draw a circle. And my circle, hi circle, it's going to kind of be, I'm kind of showing you with this, it's kind of like littler circles in it, kind of like these were littler squares inside this rectangle. These little circles, we can start with the lightest, don't touch it, and then just kind of shade it a little bit like that. And then go back to, so I have 1 color, 2 colors. Now I'm going to shade this one to be a little bit darker, and this one a little bit darker. And of course, going right to the bottom, the darkest lines. And then I'm going to use my finger. We don't have our blending sticks at home today. But I'm going to blend it. And if I don't have enough light, I can erase a little bit. But there, I've kind of made this circle, just drawn on a page, starting to look more, and I'm adding a little bit more because I erased a little more, starting to look a little bit more like a ball or a sphere. And then my favorite thing to do, even as a kid, was I cast a shadow from this circle. So the sun's here, and this is the darkest side, and it's making a big splotch, a blob of a circle, because that's his shadow. You don't make it huge. You just kind of start from the bottom where the circle is sitting on the table, or now it's a sphere, and you kind of blob it out. So that's for a circle. The next shape I wanted to show you was a cone. It could be like a triangle with a smile at the bottom. And the darkest side is on my right side. So I'm kind of doing that same idea, but instead of just making it go straight across down, you kind of start making the triangle have a rounded part too, so it's the cone. So I'm making it round here and round here. I always kind of think of it like on these pointier shapes with corners. You're making a cobweb. And I'm making this cobweb get a little bit darker the further away it is from that sunshine over here. So you should have enough of the white showing, enough gray, and enough of the darker charcoal color. And then we get to do our next step, which is my favorite, the blob. So I can make it kind of blob out right over here. And it sort of doesn't stay pointy, kind of rounds a little bit more because it's very organic or natural looking. It goes from this geometric straight shape, man-made shape, to this blob on the page. It's kind of fun. Then the next one, let's try making a cube. Now, there's a lot of ways to make a box on a page. Here's a tricky one I like to do. I make a line, then I make a Y at the top, and a V at the bottom, and then I connect them straight down. And then at the top I make a upside down V. Ta-da! I made a box. So now this one kind of goes with the sunlight hitting it at the top. You get that cobweb from the furthest away corner. So I start with a little bit of gray, go over it again with a little more gray, and a little bit more, until it's so much darker on the corner of it. And I might smush my finger to get a lighter gray. I always have trouble making the lighter gray colors because I tend to kind of smush it all as much as I can. So I kind of have to go back and add a little bit more. And of course, if the sunshine's hitting it here, it's super shady on the other side. And I'd love to go all the way to this number 7 for this, like the darkest side, but then my shadow has to be even darker. So I'm trying to lean away from making the whole thing a number 7. Trying to make it like a number 4 to 5. Then I'll go back in and do the same thing. Make it a little bit shadier on this cobwebby kind of feeling corner. So it's about a 5 or a 6. And then on the other side, you kind of have some of it hitting the light. So it's grayer in another cobwebby kind of way. And I'm making it gray, gray, gray. I'm not trying to make it too dark, but when it hits this corner, this side's definitely darker. You can smush it a little bit. And then, of course, the blob, the casted shadow down on the ground. Like this one can stay kind of straighter and kind of squarer at the top. Kind of like that. So now we have 3 out of the 5 shapes. Let's try a cylinder. So I'm going to go over to this side. And if we had a cylinder right over here, it's an oval. Then I would take 2 stripes down and another oval. Well, half oval. It's more like a smile. And the sun's hitting it here. So the shadow, if you look at just the top, would be like right around the edge here. And it's really dark. But you see, I'm going to stop it right here. That's the top of this shadow. The sides, sort of further away from the light, but I'm going to kind of trick people's eye and think, oh, it's really dark over here. And then it gets lighter over here. So I'm making these stripes coming through that are kind of rounded because it's a cylinder. It's not just a straight up and down box. And I'm just adding probably the colors from 3, 4, 5, and 6. I can get a bunch of different colors, and then I'm also erasing to get a 2 and a 1 from the value scales. And you might have a different kind of way to do your shading. There's no wrong way. Some people just do like scribbles and make them darker scribbles closer to the darker side. They call that scumbling or scribbling. And if I want to add that really good splotchy shadow that's casted, I'm going to go right out from there. Oh, it even runs right into the box over here. That's okay. There's enough away. I could even have stopped it here. Like the shadow just almost hit it, but just gave up trying to bump into that box. And then the last one. I wanted to make it like a rectangular prism because if we made it into like an iPhone or something, if I was making a still life, sometimes it's fun to see how you could start it out with just a simple shape. So if I did a shape of a rectangle, that would be like the side. And the top, I'm going to make all of these lines go kind of back, like 3 lines going to this weird diagonal. And then I'm going to stop it again when it's further enough away from me. If the sun is here, the darkest side would be here. The medium side would be here. Probably still pretty dark away from that sunlight. And the top would have lighter gray on it. And then we casted a shadow a little bit on this side because it's short, so it's just a little shadow coming off of there. And then more of a darker shadow coming off of this side. And wow, we made all of the shapes shaded just like they should be for a value scale.